Good morning. I wanted to bring everybody up to speed. I hope your 2023 is off to a great start, and wanted to talk a little bit about the housing market, where we're at, and kind of what I see happening here in the first and second quarters of 2023. A lot of information out there. Everybody's talking about the housing market. You can read things every day. Here's a couple of headlines. 2023 housing correction could be the largest since post-World War II. New Year standoffs and price drops predicted for housing market in 2023. Home price correction in the largest 400 U.S. housing markets. So a lot of information about people predicting that there is going to be a big crash in the marketplace. And so I don't think that's going to happen here in our market. And I wanted to share with you what's happened through December and why I feel that way. So let's start with the overall markets in Lee and Collier County, which are the two markets that we cater to. So overall, if you take a look at this map, and I'll put these up on the screen here too, prices are down about 8% from the peak, which was back in March of 2022. So you can see that they've actually bumped up just a little bit here recently, and you can kind of see the trend line of where they're at. I think going forward, we're going to see this flatten out. I don't think we're going to see the drastic drop that people are talking about. And then the average time on market, again, it's increased, but this is 20 days. So if I told you I could sell your house in 20 days, I think most people are going to be pretty happy about that. So that's the average right now, and it's increased, but we were in 3-4 days down here earlier in the spring. How many months of inventory does the market have? Currently, we've got about 5 months of inventory, which indicates that we're kind of in an equilibrium market right now. It's not a buyer's market. It's not a seller's market. Certainly from the complete buyer's market, seller's market that we were in earlier in the year, it's definitely shifted more towards a buyer's market, but it's a fairly equilibrium market right now. Since Ian hit, the market is obviously very quiet in October with and not much happening at that point. But in the month of December, we had over 2,000 sales, which is the most that we've had since Ian. So buyers are out there. I have a number of listings out there currently. We're seeing showings fairly often, and so the marketplace does have buyers in there. And I think the buyers are just hesitant at this point. Let's take a closer look at Fort Myers Beach first. And so I ran some information for one of my clients on the south end of the beach here, and looking to see what condo sales were doing. And so if you look at Fort Myers Beach condos here, there were no sales in I believe it was October, maybe 1 or 2 in November, and then a handful in December. So this is going to be an interesting market because the condo sales, many of the condo associations are going to require special assessments to get back up and running. While they wait for insurance settlements to happen. The example that I have, the building that I used to own in, currently they have a generator powering the air conditioning units for all 41 units, which is fantastic. However, that generator is costing them $98,000 a month to run that. And so that's a big number for these associations, especially considering many of these condos aren't going to be livable for another 12 months realistically. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Fort Myers Beach. Lots of activity. I think the commercial activity, bigger companies are buying up the commercial lots, and the face of Fort Myers Beach is definitely going to change over the next couple of years here. On Sanibel, we've had the highest inventory that we've had, I think, since May of 2021. A lot of the homes that you see going up on Sanibel are damaged, and they're flood-related damage, some wind-related damage, and so, but we do have buyers and investors buying them. There were 30 sales in the month of December, which again, if you go back and look at the past year, that's a pretty decent amount. So Sanibel, despite a lot of the homes being damaged, are being bought up by investors. One of the markets that I follow pretty closely too is the $1 million plus market in Cape Coral. And here's where I think we're going to have a little bit of a challenge too. So during the month of December, we sold nine homes over $1 million in the month, and that compares to 208 listings that we have on the market. You can see the $1 million listings have really jumped over the last year or two. And that relates to a 23-month supply of $1 million homes in Cape Coral. So I think we're going to see some downward pressure on the $1 million plus homes, especially until buyers decide that, yes, they do want to spend $1 million in the Cape. The Gulf access is fantastic for these homes, and comparable properties down in Naples would probably be 3 or 4 times the amount of what they're what the sales price are up here. So that's going to be an interesting market. One of the things that is going to help that market, Forbes just recently came out and marked Cape Coral as the #4 city to live in Florida, which is fantastic. Tampa was #1. I think Miami and Orlando were 4 and 5. So we're going to get a great interest in this area. Again, Buffalo's had probably 8 feet of snow since Thanksgiving. Chicagoland, where I'm from, minus temperatures already in December. So the things that drive people to Florida continue to happen. It's cold outside up north. It's gray. Better tax structure here. And in many regards, we remained open during the COVID crisis. So those things appeal to a lot of people, and I think people will continue to move to this area. So overall, I do think that we're going to have a little bit of a lull still. Buyers are still very cautious with what's happening, and so sellers may be a little bit unrealistic as to what they think their homes may be worth. So, but those two are going to get reconciled. I think those two will get reconciled sometime over the next 90 days as well. So buyers, as you see, that prices aren't going to drop like they did back in 2008 and 9. Sellers, again, you can see there are going to be homes that are going to go on. Neighbors are going to put their homes up. They're going to sell for less than what you hope to get for yours. And again, once that reconciles, I think the market will have a pretty decent season here for the rest of 2023 as well. So any questions, please give me a call. You've got my cell phone number. You've got my email contacts. And wishing everybody a healthy, happy, and prosperous 2023. And look forward to talking with you all soon.